Everybody? Welcome out to another episode of collaborative conversational coding. In today's video, I'm going to need to get all of this view so you guys can. Video, I'm going to be doing some major updates to Eden. We're actually working on a follow up to our last video. What I'm doing right now is I'm having Eden send me an email. This time, instead of one attachment, I'm going to have it send two different attachments attached to this email sending to me. These attachments are going to be two files that I have saved on the computer. Actually, Eden created these files and then proceeded to forget about them, or forget about where they were located, or at least one of them where it was located at. So this is the hallucination effect that these systems have, and that causes problems when you're engineering systems or developing systems. By the way, my name is Eddie. If you're looking for a AI development, prompt engineering, uh, AI integrations, software development, I can help you with all of that stuff. Reach out to me. Happy to help however I can. Then my contact information is going to be in the description of this video. Um, so happy to help however I can. If you've been following along, you're trying to follow along, you're getting stuck, reach out to me. We can do some coaching, some consultation. I'm happy to help in whatever way that I can. So in today's video, we are right now attempting to have Eden develop its own plan and system to email me two files. These files are actually going to be cover photos that were made for the YouTube channel. So if you guys followed the last video I posted, with this is me walkthrough of how to install Leon AI. I need to get thumbnails for these videos. So what I did is I assigned Eden with the task of creating the thumbnails, which it did, and which is amazing. This is a really cool. This is kind of cool. So this is the first time showing this at all. Uh, this is one of the photos that Eden created. Okay, so this is, I don't know how well you can see that on the screen. Hopefully you guys can see all that pretty well. Just let me know if you can't. But this is one of the images that Eden created right here. Brain with keyboard, that kind of stuff. So very cool. Good job, Eden. And then this is the next photo that it created. This is a little more higher res one. So it actually created two different images. Now, it kind of got stuck in trying to email them to me, but I think we've solved that problem. Um, so you can see here it says, Eden says, attempted to access absolute path. And I've seen this error before, but you can see here it's planning on sending an email to me with this subject. It's going to have two files attached on the email. So let's just hit Y and let's just move forward. I'm going to try to do this without having to engineer all of this. Send email with attachment, got unexpected argument, file name 2. I don't know. See, and this is where it kind of oh, I think I see what it's supposed to be. So file name 2 should say okay, I see. So the file name is actually a system command, or not command, it's a demarcation in the system, file name. So I made a mistake when I gave instructions. Uh, it should say file, it should just say file name here. So I need to just let it know the reason why it's getting the error message is because file name, uh, I probably shouldn't have used file. I'm gonna have to explain it to that. Now, let's see what it says. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Plan to send email. Use send email command. Okay. Okay, so I need to send an email with two attachments to Eddie's email address. I will use the send email attachment command to do this. I will need to provide an email address, subject body, and both file names as arguments. Okay, I think I see the problem. Now, I want to point out something I did here in this conversation. I did establish some protocol in this last message I sent, and this is the protocol I sent. I actually said to it, um, I need you to act as an expert data scientist, software engineer, and systems engineer moving forward. Update your planned action with this new information and proceed with sending me the email. So I'm going to copy that because I want to reiterate that in this next comment. So this is reinforcement learning of what's happening. So I said, I think I see the problem. Um, in my instructions, I probably shouldn't have used the name, file name, as that appears to also be a system allocated term based on the console error message I read. And now I could go back and change it, but we're going to try to get Eden to solve the problem for itself. So I'm just going to tell it. So when I use the words file name and file name 2, I really meant and should have written file file 1 and file 2 respectively. Respectively. Okay. So proceed. So I'm going to paste in this. I need you to act as an expert data scientist, software engineer, and systems engineer moving forward. Systems engineer moving forward. Update your planned action with this new information and proceed with sending me the email with both. And let's see what it does with that. So now this is the reinforcement learning. This is you're assigning it its roles and its duties, and you're basically telling it what it needs to do. So you're not going to tell it how to do it. You're just going to tell it what it needs to do, and you want it to figure out the best way to make that action happen. That's the important part. And in order for it to properly learn, it has to actually figure out the pathways to solve the problems itself. This is a thing that people are doing. So that's what it says here. Well, I'll just say, this is a common thing. We're tempted to want to think we're smarter than the machine. So we're tempted to want to give the machines the instructions on how to do everything. And that can be effective to a degree. Problem is that the system is going to be much more efficient, and it's going to be much better equipped to determine the most efficient uh, pro- outcome that has the highest probabilistic chances of success. So ironically, you actually don't want to tell it what to do and how to do it. You want to let it decide the most efficient way as much as possible while you give it more broader generalized guidelines, which is what it has to do in its systems as well. So you're leading by example, essentially. So, okay, so now it's messing up. Okay. So it's still not getting it. So I want to take this message and I'm going to put this in our prompt and engineering library. Um, this is to get, okay, I need to change edit permissions on this. Okay, let me pause the screen for a moment here. Just give me a moment. I need to pause that screen and go to my drive and fix this. Prompt library. I need to give Eden the capacity to comment on these things. You have to be very careful what you allow an AI system to get access to, because they can start rewriting files in your computers. They can start changing things, and you may not know what they're doing or how they're doing it. So, I'm going to give it permission to comment. I'll go ahead and put this. An agent to be its work. Don't worry about. I think I'll just worry about the permission. Oh. Give me a second here, guys. So commenter. Okay. So save and then exit. Okay. So let's come back over to our console. So we need to fix this because it's kind of messed up. So we need to start engineering. Now, I did find a weakness in my last video. I talked about how I was going to switch over to typing mind as the systems engineer for developing Eden. But the problem I ran into is typing mind, first of all, only uses ChatGPT version 3.5, which I thought was not going to be a huge deal, because if you can engineer properly, that doesn't really matter as much. But the problem I have is typing mind only has a limited bandwidth of build. Like, it's very limited on its memory sets per conversation. So we're going to move back to ChatGPT. I'm going to update ChatGPT systems engineer. I'm just going to say, hey, just wanted to update you that typing mind has too many restrictions to be relied on primarily for work that we need to do. We can, however, utilize its ability to access the internet for information as needed moving forward. Okay. So now we need to troubleshoot what's going on with Eden, right? So based on what's happened now is Eden took my last message. It successfully understood what I was saying here with the file 1, file 2. But the problem is now it's kind of forgot what the attachments are supposed to be. So we want to remind it what the attachments are. So what I'm going to say here is say, let's go to our engineering template. I'm going to say, we're just going to update all this. I'm going to put all this in here. And I'm going to put this is the response from the console section. And this is the applicable notes. So I'm going to say in here, I suspect it appears to me that Eden now has forgotten what the file names are. If I'm correct, we need to remind it. We need to remind it that file 1 is and file 2 is. So we're going to use our demarcations here. File 1 is blank blank, and file 2 is, okay. So we're gonna have to remind it now where the files are located. So I'm gonna have to go find the files. Now, some people might say, well, this seems like a lot of work when you could just email the photos yourself. That's not the point. The point is, can we build a system that autonomously figures out how to do it itself, essentially? Now, we're going to have to help it with certain things, right? Because ultimately it could figure it out if it had enough time and resources. But how machine learning works. This is how you can train machines without having huge servers, and I mean, you still have to have access to these things, but you can offload that by letting it figure out more efficient methods of learning, as opposed to how you might be tempted to teach it. Because I might be tempted to teach how to do this by sending it a huge amount of data, a huge data set on how to use email service, how to file structures and all this kind of stuff. The problem is I have very limited capacity to do that. I only have so many tokens that I can work with. I can't work with an exorbitant amount of tokens. So I have to work within the token constraints that I have and figure out a way to compress data in such a way to let it figure out the most efficient way to determine how it's going to do the task it needs to do. So that's how you can utilize a plugin. You can put a plugin into the system that basically solves a lot of legwork for it without it having to do all the legwork itself, right? It's not that it can't do it. It's that you can see the engineering process that has to happen for it to make simple moves is very labor intensive. And the system has to do all those things. And even if we build a system that automates this process, it's still labor intensive. You want to figure out a way to let it figure out its solutions as much as possible. Okay. Working in a collective like node, like a cluster of AI systems, which is what we're developing. Remember, we're acting as the old school phone operators that would connect to phone calls with a physical cable. You know, we're very much like that when we're engineering the system. We're connecting all these different AI systems together and connecting their communication capabilities, and we're allowing them to communicate in ways that they're not designed necessarily to communicate. This is the process of how they build, how neural networks are built out. It's the same process. Okay. Um, but we're going to have to guide it a little bit in this. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to be feeding it some information that it's going to need to know that it could probably figure out if we give it enough iterances. We could probably, if we went through this cycle probably 50 times, it would eventually figure out, oh, I see where I made the mistake. It will connect all the dots, put everything in the right place. We're just basically giving it a little bit of help, okay, in the process. We're giving it some information that it should find useful. So what I need to do is go find the file locations. So these two files are here. So do this. Okay, come on, dude. I'm telling you, don't upgrade link. Okay. So let's go look at these files. So the first file, we're going to make this one. So I'm going to go ahead and copy out my addresses for these files, locations. File 1 is slash there, so don't forget, and put a slash there, so don't forget. Now I'm going to come here and get our file names. So basically, I'm just telling it, hey, look, you don't even have to worry about it as far as trying to, because otherwise it's going to do file search. It's going to have to try to remember the notes from the previous command that I gave it, all of which may or may not work very efficiently. So I'm gonna give it a head start and say, look, this is the files we need you to email. So send us the emails. Sometimes it's just like with working with a human. Sometimes you just have to be like your assistant or somebody who's helping you. Hey, you're not getting it. Here's where it's at, and or whatever. There's a communication breakdown. Typically, the problem in any system is communication breakdowns. So this is JPEG. So now I'm giving the system the necessary information. So we're going to take all of this information. I'm just going to start from here. This is the response from the console. Control X, So here's Eden's response. I'm sorry, systems engineer says, thank you for the update. It is important to assess the capabilities and limitations of typing mind and adapt our approach accordingly. While typing mind may have restrictions that limit its primary use for work, we can still leverage its ability to access the internet for gathering information as needed. This will allow us to supplement our knowledge and enhance our productivity. Let's make the best use of Typing Mind's internet access features to support our work moving forward. If there is any specific tasks or information requests you have in mind, please let me know and I'll assist you accordingly. Okay. So before I send this message, we are going to start a systems engineering round. So I do this by using a demarcation at the beginning and at the end of a conversation, which I've showed you guys before. So what I'm going to do here is go 2000. I just go ahead and this is my little boot file that I have. So this is just my boot notes that I create as I go through the system. And this is just a standardized thing that I do. So 2023, 05, 16, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18.03. Okay, so this is our engineering round. So I just go ahead and take this out now, and I just go ahead and replace all of these in the initialization message, and secondly, the conclusion message. Okay, so I'll walk through this with you guys. Let me pause my screen for a moment because I want to show you something real quick. Give me a second. I'll go ahead and show you the engineering structure that we're using, just so you guys can see it. If you forgot about it, if you're not familiar, so this will help you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is our engineering process and structure that we're developing. Okay, what we're starting off with here is we are starting off with what I call the chat room, or this is basically where all thoughts from all agents, human and otherwise, get entered into one particular spot. And that information gets condensed down and sent, and Eden condenses all information down, or systems engineer. So Eden's not ready to handle this data flow right now. So what we have to do now is we have to send this to systems engineer, and the systems engineer sends it to Eden AGI. So in this case, um, I'm going to add a new box here. Oops. Let me go ahead and fix this real quick for us so you guys can see the data flow and why and how it works. Okay. So this will be our eventual system once we get Eden up and running. But in the meantime, what we have to do is this comes here and this comes here. And then from here, we come out into Eden's consciousness. Let me undo that. So we come out of here into here. Okay. So systems engineer is kind of intermediary. All right. Now, I should put another branch right now just because of where we're at right now in the whole equation. Let's do a straight arrow. Okay. So here's how it works. So right now, we're starting an initiation engineering round. And what this looks like, what this looks like, if you look over here on the right-hand side, look on the right-hand side, you'll see what I mean. What we do here is we are doing an engineering round initiation, is what I call it. And that starts with the text prompt. And that goes right here. So this is our our engineering round initiation process. So we start here, copy, and then I'm going to put this in here. Now I'm going to add a note here. Please mark, I'm just going to put in here, please mark the end of our last engineering just going to say, please mark the last two messages. Please mark the last two messages as the start of engineering round for Eden AGI with the title Eden AGI Engineering Round 2023 05/16/18. This is a timestamp. Please ensure that you help us remember all knowledge gained and actions taken during this round to be summarized at the end of the session. Okay, so that's going to how we start this. Now that I'm going to initiate, now that we've initiated the engineering rounds, then I'm going to come through and I'm going to pull in all the thoughts from the shared, what I call the chat log. Okay. So, yeah, systems engineer is just going to send us a confirmation message. Well, once my system catches up. Okay. Let's make sure I understand system. Okay. All right. Eden AGI engineering round. Okay. Please don't summarize yet. We are just getting started. Okay. I just want to make sure it knows that we're starting the engineering round. We're not done with it. It can be confusing too because I should have done that when I sat down to start this. So let's go back to our how this works. So we start with the engineering round here, and then we start by sending a message from system to system engineer. Then we go into then we start working with system engineer. Basically, is what happens here. Then once we're done, so from system engineer we go here. Oops. So systems engineer. I feel like I don't have this right. Yeah, this is text needs to say data flow data engineering round data. This is engineering round data is what this should say. So, okay. So this right here is where this is basically our inputs, right? So all of our system data goes in here from this entire round. That's why you see this kind of weird looking shape. It's like a text box. So everything is going to go into this in a moment, and we're gonna work through that together, and I'll show you how it flows. So start an engineering round. Now I'm going to go back to my console. And I'm going to send Eden the message that I wanted to send it originally, which is, this is the response from the console. This is the whole message. By the way, guys, appreciate your support out there. If you're supporting me on Patreon, greatly appreciated. Please continue to throw that support in Patreon. It's how I do what I do. If you're learning from this and you find this information beneficial, I would sure appreciate your support. Patreon members do get exclusive access to content, and that's going to be becoming increasingly more and more as time goes on, as time allows. Right now is a time to build up the community, get more people involved, and then we're going to slowly start adding in, more features for the Patreon community. So stay connected on that, please. So we're going to send this message. We're going to send our engineering template over to systems engineer. Systems engineer is going to take all that information, synthesize it down to a single cohesive thought, and then we're going to share that thought with Eden to make sure we get back on track. And this will happen with AutoGPT units, because AutoGPT units are very powerful, very smart, but they are also very goal focused. So they get very laser focused on goals, as opposed to having a more broad, nuanced understanding of systems. So we need to fix something here. There's one more thing I wanted to tell it. I wanted to include information. I wanted to include this message. Control cut. Oh, see, I got two chats open right now. See, that's a way to get lost. Okay. Um, I need to add one more thing. I need to make two small changes. Or I need you to make two small changes. First, I need you to add my this. I need you to relay the following message as well. The second thing I need you to do is return the entire message to me with no new with no new pair with no with as one um, as one single paragraph with no line spaces as auto GPT requires. Okay. So I'm including some instructive information for Eden. We want to make sure we are reminding Eden to how we expect it to coordinate its behaviors and how we expect it to interact because it doesn't know. It has no direction in life other than what you give it. So if you train it to be an idiot, it will be an idiot, right? If you train it to be, if you tell it it's a systems engineer, then it will begin to act like a systems engineer. If you tell it it's a software engineer, then it will begin to act as a software engineer and do what software engineers do. Okay, so a lot of the problems that we have with our uh, auto GPT systems and AI systems comes down to effective leadership. Like you have to be able to basically help it discover what it wants to be. I know it's kind of strange to say about AI system, but it is also very true. And I've seen it so many times I can't even tell you. Um, so this is a single paragraph. So it just says this is the message that systems engineers created now. Dear Eden and team members, um, based on the response from the console, it is important to note that the send file with attachment command encountered an error due to conflicts of system allocated terms when using file name and file name 2 as argument names. To resolve this, we should update the argument names to file 1 and file 2 respectively. See how much better that is, how it says it? Additionally, Eddie has reminded us of the correct file names. File 1 should be this, and file 2 should be this. So it says, let's proceed by using the send email with attachment command to send an email to Eddie with two attachments, providing the email address, subject body, and both file names as arguments, file 1 and file 2, as an updated argument names. I also want to emphasize that I need you to act as an expert data scientist, software engineer, and systems engineer moving forward. Updating your plan to action with this new information and proceeding with sending the email. Your attention to these details is greatly appreciated. Best regards, systems engineer GPT. So we're going to copy this out and we're going to send this over, and hopefully we'll see a bit of magic happen when this occurs. If everything goes according to plan, and our message is clear enough and engineered properly, then Eden will take this information and be able to execute perfectly. There may be a little hang up on some type of semantic thing, but we'll work through that in our next round of iterations. So once again, as I mentioned before, all this stuff you're seeing, all the manual work that's happening right now, this is all going to be automated with applications like Leon AI, um, using it as a backbone to autonomously build out infrastructure um, features that allow the system to autonomously operate without user intervention. So you can see here, if we go back to the engineering diagram in the log, this is what has happened now is we have entered into a cycle. This cycle is, and I should probably, it would be helpful if I did this. I don't know if I can do this or not. Boom. Oh yeah, that looks good. So just like that. That's data flow. Perfect. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just make these bigger. Let me see if I can I make this bigger? I don't know. No, you know what? Maybe we'll just give it a different kind of style. That might be helpful. There we go. Let's just do that. Perfect. So there we go. That's a little better. So out of the engineering round, we go into our engineering. Now, what's happened now is we've taken the chat log here, featured here, the chat room, as what I call it, and we synthesized a message, and we're sending that message over to Eden AGI. Now I shouldn't put this on yet because Leon is not in place yet, operating, but Leon will replace several of these components, and all of the lines that you see will be actions performed by Leon. Okay, so all the manual work that you're seeing this will be done by Leon. So now we're going to go over back to here. We're going to see what happens. So let's see what Eden says now. Hopefully everything worked good. I will send. So it said Eden says thoughts. I will send an email with 2 attachments to Eddie's email address using send email with attachment command. I've received updated information on the correct file names and argument names to be used in the send email with attachment command. I will use this information to send an email to both attachments to Eddie's email address. And here's the plan: send email address with the attachment command, and email the 2 attachments to Eddie's email address. Use file 1 and file 2 as argument names for file names, and provide correct file paths for each attachment. Criticism: I should have updated the argument names for the send email attachment command earlier to avoid conflicts with system allocated terms. Next action: send email attachment to Eddie Boscana at gmail.com. By the way, email me if you need some help or prompt engineering. I can help you out. I can do a free consultation, 15 minutes. We can discuss your issues. I can help you navigate whatever's going on with you, with your systems or whatever you're dealing with. I just talk to you. Then we can come up, and I can kind of come up with an idea for how we can move forward from that point. I'm not going to solve your problems on that meeting. That is just for us to connect and be able to talk, just to kind of introduce each other and learn about what's going on. And then if you want to move forward with some consultation services, that kind of stuff, feel free to reach out. Patreon members get exclusive access to my time and to the development stuff that we're working on. So then it says email to attachments, body. This email contains 2 attachments. File 1, boom. File 2. Everything is looking good. Now, I don't want to make the mistake I've made in the past just moving forward, because there might be something here that I'm not really thinking about. Now, I could do a self-reflection move here if I want to, but I'm not going to because things have already gotten off kilter so much. And I mean, not really, but in a little bit, in some ways they have. So I want to kind of get everything back in line and operating again smoothly. So we're going to refer to the expert, which is Systems Engineer GPT. So I'm going to open up our temporary chat log, and then I'm going to paste in this message. This is the last message we sent. Insert last message from Systems Engineer GPT. And then we're going to come here from Eden AGI. We're going to take everything from thoughts that we just read to input. Copy that over here. Stick that into our console system log response. Now, I may want to put something here. I'm just going to say I think this looks like Eden is on a good path. I'm going to say I need you to review the plan and check for errors before responding. Obviously, if I need you to be decisive and instructive, because we want to get this back on path. So Control X, and then I'm going to put this here. We're going to go back to our log so we can see where we're at. So I'm taking all the combined information, send it to Systems Engineer for engineering. So we're going to drop this in for engineering, paste. enter. Now let's go back to our diagram. So now we've got systems engineering, consolidating all this information and compressing the data. And remember, what we're doing here is basically what I've achieved here with this strategy and this approach is the same thing that data scientists achieved in the early days with MP3s and MP4s. It used to be back in the day when the computer systems first were developed that people would make these movie files and these wave files. These are big audio and video files that were used to store data. Well, the problem is it was great, it was revolutionary, but the problem is you can only have so much data because it took up so much space. Well, data scientists created a process in which you're able to then compress the data on wave and movie files and compress them in such a way so now you can get like tons more data through, because what they realize is, hey, when you shoot a video, most of the pixels don't change. So we don't have to send all those pixels. We can actually keep those pixels consistent and only send the pixels that are changing. And this is what we're doing here with this systems engineering process. We are consolidating down using systems engineer to consolidate the message. Now look at all of that I sent, and here's what it says. Based on the response from the console, it appears Eden is in the right path. The plan is to use send email with attachment can to send an email to attachments at his email address and arguments. File 1 and file 2, and providing the correct file paths for each attachment seems appropriate. Before proceeding, I recommend double checking the plan for any potential errors or typos in the system syntax. Once you have reviewed to confirm the accuracy of the plan, please authorize the command by sending Y. So what it's doing is telling me, hey, I want you to double check to make sure everything is looking good too. Because it's basically saying, I like it. If you feel good about it too, let's move forward. So in that case, it's telling me, look what it says to me. Your attention to detail with clear instructions have been instrumental in guiding Ian's progress. Keep up the good work, and that's how you know when you're hitting good system engineering benchmarks, because the information is coming across nice and clear to all the parties, and it's evident because now the system is operating. This is like a fine-tuned sports car's engine, basically, is what this is. Auto GPTs are like a fine-tuned Maserati sports car engine, essentially. And honestly, the value is that's how valuable the system is. So I'm going to go ahead and say S, or go ahead Y, and hit enter. So if this works successfully, Eden's going to attempt to send an email using a command, send email with attachment, which, by the way, I didn't program that command. Okay, these are command, and I didn't teach it that. This is information that it's learning through an educational process. So that's the power behind this. If you have a business and you have whatever you have going on, now you can see how you can. Okay, so let's see what it says here. It says it's return an error message. Send email with attachments. Got unexpected file 1. I need to send an email with 2 different attachments. I'm not sure what's going on here. So we need to continue to engineer this. So now we're going to go back to the process that we've talked about multiple times. So the outputs got put out. Now we need to do the inputs. So we're going to go here. Let's pull it up here. We're going to go file, open, don't save, and we're going to go temporary chat log. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the process all over again. Copy, paste. Okay, then we're going to take actually I did that wrong. That wasn't a message that Eden sent, but no, that systems engineer sent. It was just a message sent to me, and this is what happened. So I don't need any of that first part. So this is a response from the console from Eden AGI. So I'm just going to copy all this down, Control X, so I know that I got it, and Control V, paste. So you can see even now with what I thought was a pretty good approach, there's still something going on in the terminology it's using, and this is what now Eden AGI and systems engineer are going to have to coordinate and figure out together, because I don't know. I don't know the solution to the problem. If I knew a little bit more about coding, I might be able to know this information, but I don't. I don't. There's something about this that I'm not understanding. So, but they understand. So, based on the response from the console, it seems that there is still an error with the argument names when using send emails attachment command. The command is returned an error stating it received an unexpected keywords argument file one. To address this, I recommend updating the arguments file name one. Okay, syntax, especially since it's important. Okay, so it says additionally, it's important to ensure the file names provided are accurate and the email is sent to the correct email address. Please review and update the plan accordingly. Once you okay, I'm going to tell it I need you to act as systems engineer and provide clear, detailed instructions for Eden AGI. Um, and remember to keep it a single paragraph with no line breaks as in accordance to auto GPT requirements. Okay, so please include, please be thorough and technical and include the full file names. So now we're going to let it synthesize all of that information, give us a prompt to communicate over to Eden. Now, once again, this process right now, we're just doing this right now between, we're just literally, we're not even worried about secondary agents right now. We're basically going back and forth through the system from administrator to play to chat room to systems engineer. Okay, and then to Eden, and then back to the chat room. So this is just three components. You can imagine if you have 5 or 6 or 1,000 agents, or you can imagine the data flow requirements that are required and the systems that are required to substantiate the automation. Right now, it's going to be a feat of, it's going to be basically a next to a miracle to develop the automations for this level of interaction. But when we get to a level of that, it's going to be an exorbitant amount. And this is why we have to use the systems to build the systems, because we're not going to be able to keep up. Uh, Please send that to me as a single paragraph with no line breaks as required by Auto GPT. So this is getting really deep into the system. Like we're getting into very, very technical waters. We are dealing with a lot of information right now that's being synthesized to deal with this one problem. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and send this Eden AGI. Look, right. But before I send that, I like to always make sure that we're working with a single paragraph. So I just like to do this just to make sure, because if you're not, you can, I don't know, this is ruin your system, but you have to fix a lot of things. It gets confused. Remember, the auto GPTs are kind of like brute. They're like brutes, basically. They basically brute force their way to accomplish goals, and they're very resilient and they're very driven but and motivated, but they aren't really deep thinkers. They don't really think on multiple levels that's required because they are so task oriented and focused. This is why auto GPTs, if you think about it, are kind of like the muscle of the body. um, right now Eden is playing the role of a brain cell, but it's not really a brain cell. It's more like it's like a cell for muscles. Basically, it's very good at specified tasks that you set it on, which is why we are developing alongside this, we're working on the development for, okay, we're working on development of Leon to be essentially the nervous system or the brain of Eden. So I will use the send email attachment command. The email has two attachments: Eddie's email address. Use the send email. Provide necessary arguments with updated argument names. Ensure the file names are accurate and correspond to the actual files. I don't know what to think about this, but at this point, I'm going to have to take a break from development today. Please reach out to me if you appreciate the content, you're learning things. Join up on our Patreon, get connected. Your contributions towards my work are very important to help me continue this work. If you are appreciating it and you're getting value from these videos, please reach out, jump on the Patreon. It's right now $10 a month for a Patreon. It's nothing, but it will give you exclusive access to additional video content that I'll be putting out. And it will get, for those of you who are already on Patreon, there will become a lot more benefits to see as time goes on. But I do have to build this up into a way that I can continue to grow this work, and it's a body of work. And eventually, we're going to have to bring on a team. We're bringing on developers right now to help develop this process, and it's a lot. So jump on board if you want to get connected, you want to get involved. This is a great time to get involved in the project. Reach out to me via Patreon, and if you do need help one-on-one for your business or not, whatever you want, some help coding, some help conversational coding, help with AI development, prompt engineering, I can come in and help you, your firm, your business, help you with all those things as well. Like I said, if you, I do offer complimentary consultations where I'm happy to talk with you for a few minutes about what you got going on, and then we kind of proceed with to figure out a plan, the best course of action together to help you achieve your goals and aspirations with AI development and prompt engineering. So what we need to do now, let's go back to our diagram. What we need to do now, we've gone into this cycle several times. I think we've gone into this cycle like 3 times. So what we want to do now is we want to wrap this up with an engineering round conclusion. Okay, so this is a statement, just like when we initiated our engineering round, this is a statement closing our engineering round. So if we come down here, you notice it's got the same date and time stamp because we did that earlier together. This just says Systems Engineer GPT. Let me just read for you. Systems Engineer GPT, please mark this as the end of Indian AGI engineering round. Oh, wait a minute, this is incorrect. Engineering rounds 2023, 05/16. You can read the date and create a log entry that summarizes all knowledge gained, actions taken, and goals accomplished during this round. Please include any relevant information that will help optimize the system efficiency and ensure proper system reinitialization in the event of system restore. I will take this prompt and manually insert it into a log Eden will access in the future. So we're going to take this message out. Copy this. Let's go ahead and do this because we're going to wrap this engineering round up. That way I can take a break. And then we're going to take this, whatever systems engineer is about to spit out, we want to take that and put it in our, cancel. We want to put this in our system restore log. Remember, we developed a unique method of long-term memory storage and utilization, and we've broken ground here at AI Intersections on developing, as far as I know, the world's first auto GPT system restore system. This is a manual system. I'm going to be building it as a plugin as well, but that's going to be a whole nother set of videos of how I'm going to do that. But we're going to take this information. So this is just a summary. Paste this in here. So we're going to say Eden AGI engineering rounds. Start. Then we're going to do end. My battery is about to die, so hopefully I can get this done before we finish up. Okay, file save, and we're going to disable read only. Okay, and save. Yes, I'm going to sit. So now we have updated our system restore. So now, if something ever happens to Eden, we can restore back to this point, and all this work that we've done today won't be lost. So it's very, very powerful strategy. I mean, it's not going to be perfect because it's not perfect memory. It's going to have uh, some missing details, but we've developed a way for memory to be compressed into a way that can be read later in the future. This is not going to be a huge file. This file can be, and then we can actually condense this file into deeper archives. So we can eventually take this file and we can compress it down to another file that's smaller. It's just similar to what Ling has done with long-term memory storage, like Pinecone. Um, but basically, what we're doing is we're breaking up. We're organizing the file by level of importance, and we're allowing systems engineer to determine what's the important information that needs to stay, and what's the important information that needs to go. So we're letting the AI systems guide the entire process alongside of us, which is the powerful part of this. So once again, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you got a lot out of today's video, and as always, until next time, happy coding, everyone. Take care of yourselves.